Hi guys, welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I'm here today with my guest comedian Rachel Wolfson.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Rachel looks hot as usual.
Oh God,
I feel
you're always hot, so I guess it takes one to know one. It's a hot girl summer.
It's a hot girl. I know. How did that? I just actually, because this has been, we kept saying hot girl summer over the past couple days.
Yeah.
And then I noticed it was a song. It was a lyric in a song.
Mm-hmm. It's a Meg Thee Stallion. It's a rap. It's like a rap song, right?
Okay.
I think it's her. Yeah, it's like it's a lifestyle. It's not just a summer. It's not a seasonal thing. It's a mentality. It's a lifestyle. You either got it or you don't.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
confidence.
It's confidence.
What else is it?
Confidence. I think that's just what it is.
I think confidence makes anyone hot. Not even if they're not an attractive person. If there's someone who's not that hot, but they're like really confident and cocky. Well, I guess cocky is going a little further.
Confidence. It's the right level of cockiness and humble.
Yeah, you're right? Like, I don't know what that is, but I'm on.
Yeah,
I want to fuck that.
I'll take an ounce of it. No, I don't know. I think there's something about talent that's hot. Like, you may not be the most attractive physically, but like, who cares about that? That's gonna die and fade away. But there's something about talent, and with talent comes confidence, right? That's
Yeah.
So I'll take
I'm like thinking.
Yeah, I'll take a talented, not as good looking person over a hot person with no talent. Does that make sense?
But when you say talent, are you
maybe their talent is
creative, or like could their talent be math?
Or their talent could be the hotness. Like, that's their talent.
Yeah.
Well, always I'm going to go with the creative.
Me too.
Yeah. There's nothing sexy about being hot at math to me.
I know. Well, I've always been attracted to artistic people.
Right.
I've never liked guys who like worked in finance or real estate or any. It's just boring.
Yeah.
To by the books.
That's the safe choice. They're predictable. They're with numbers. Numbers are predictable. It's a language. There's going to be an answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely, the creative, I love a creative person. Mm-hmm. Like, I like people who are quirky and different. Like, I've always, even like growing up, I'm going to befriend the weird one.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm the weird one.
I was the weird one too.
But like, we're trapped in, we look like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it more than you, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing too is, it's funny because like I get labeled this hot, like I'll get a hot girl, like a hot girl in comedy. And I'm like, but that's not
how you feel on the inside. That's exactly how I feel.
Are we hot girl high fives? This is how hot girls high five.
There's nothing worse than putting out your hand for a high five and having it not be.
I was like, this is a hot girl. This is a hot girl. I was like, is she feeling me? That's funny. No, it's true. Like, I feel like, because I just happen to be this way. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ask for this.
Were you always hot?
No.
Or did you grow into it?
I grew into it.
Okay, same.
I looked like a boy for a lot of, like, I had my hair short. I didn't know what to do with this,
Like a bowl cut?
It was, like, short, curly afro, basically.
Oh, are you naturally curly?
Mm-hmm. Wavy. Oh. Or Jew-fro. I guess that's the proper
Are you Jew?
Yeah. I found out you're 47%.
Now I'm 49.
49.
It went up. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
Because I think I neurotically kept checking back, and they're like, give her 2 more.
Oh my God, that's so funny. She's part of the tribe. She's committed.
Are you full?
Yeah.
Did you have a bar mitzvah?
I did.
Oh my God, what was your theme?
Beach.
Oh,
in the desert.
That's crazy.
Well, my parents, they took me, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my aunt to Israel. So we did like a
birthright with the fam.
We eloped. I did my bar mitzvah elopement. And then when we came back, we just had a party at my house, like a pool party. But like, I grew up in Vegas, so I was going to, like, my parents did well for themselves. They worked their asses off. Like, neither of them came from money. But they were very career driven. But like, the kids that I grew up with and went to school with, their parents were like hotel owners and like some of the richest people.
Oh, really?
And so their bar mitzvahs were more expensive than any of our weddings.
Wow.
Like, they had them in hotels because their dad or mom either owned the hotel or was the lawyer of the hotel. I mean, I've never seen anything, like, but that was, to me, normal. I didn't realize, like, not everyone did that.
Like a My Super Sweet 16 vibe.
My Super Sweet Bar Mitzvah. Like, that was literally what it was. And my parents were very, like, no, you're having a party in the backyard at our pool.
That's cool.
It was so cool. It was the best.
It's probably just as fun, if not more fun.
It was way more fun, less stress on them. Plus, like, if they're going to spend that amount of money, it's going to be on a wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I don't even need, and I've never been a person of, like, I need excess. You know, I've always just been like, okay, this is enough. You know?
Wow.
So,
that's good.
Yeah. Like,
That's the opposite of an alcoholic. You
really?
Don't, sort of. Like, you don't have that thing inside that's like, I need more. Because I have that. You know, like, so it's sort of like nothing is ever enough.
Really?
Sort of feeling.
I get that.
Lingers.
Well, you know what? To me, I've really, like, gotten strong on the past couple is gratitude. Because when you have gratitude, it's enough. It's like you're just happy to have what you have. Because a lot of it is like some people never even get this. You know what I mean? So,
do you do gratitude lists, or do you just think about it?
I try to no, but I want to start doing that because I read when you write something down, like especially a goal, you have a 30% more chance of accomplishing it.
Oh.
And I'm very big into manifesting and visualizing and things like that. I literally like when I drive by the store, it sounds stupid, like I visualize my name on the wall.
Of course.
You know,
you're not alone in that.
Like
what do you do to visualize it specifically?
Like I'm a visual person, so I can picture my name on it.
Like photographic memory kind of vibe.
Well, like there's a guy named Carl Wolfson on the wall here. So, like, I already have my last name there. Like, I picture my name, you know? Yeah. Or, like, just, like, picturing how I want to look when I'm working out. Like, you know? And just, you know, in the life that I want. Like, where I see myself. Like, because to me, if I can picture it, it makes it more real. Like, I can see it
if you can
happening.
Really imagine it.
And I've really manifested, I think, a lot into my life.
Wow.
So,
do you have that negative voice though in your head
absolutely.
That's like, no, you can't do that, and then you have to tell it to shut up?
Even like what I catch myself doing is any of my friends, like my friend Andrea, today we went to a mic, and right as I walked out of my door, she lives right across the hall from me. I love her so much. She automatically had, like, she was what I thought was criticizing herself, and I was like, okay, now say something positive. You know? So it's like
counteracting.
Yeah. And, like, she wasn't even being that negative, but, like, that's just, like, my automatic response to when someone's being critical of themselves or whatever. And, I think it's all about, because, like, your words shape your thoughts and your thoughts shape your reality. So, for me, in the past couple years, like, a thought is an emotion, right? So, like, it peaks. Or, like, it
passes.
It peaks. So, like, let's say, you know, I have this negative thought. Well, that's going to go away at a certain point. It's going to have to dissipate. And it's so healthy to have those negative thoughts because sometimes they can be motivating. And I feel it in my 30s more so than in my 20s that not everything deserves a negative reaction. And stand-up really taught me how to react. Like, stand-up teaches you to not react necessarily it's like react with what's the funniest. So there's a pause. It's like maybe not your first response, but what's the funniest thing you can say as your first response. And so I think like with my life, there's that pause of like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. How do I respond? How can I react to this in
pausing
the best
and
way?
Not like always having to say something right away.
But like like we are reactive. Like if something gets thrown at us from the crowd, we react like without even a thought. So it's like you're training yourself to like, okay, what's not the first reaction? What's the best reaction first, right? Because you only have a split second. So that I've tried. It's kind of like made everything in my life like that.
Wow.
Like, okay, let me process what I'm here. Because to be a good stand-up, you have to listen too. You have to be in the moment and be able to receive what you're being given, and that's how you respond. It makes you in the moment, which I think is a better way to be a stand-up, you know, versus getting up there and just reciting your material. So
yeah, I heard this quote one time. I put pauses between my thoughts, feelings, and actions. Yeah. And I just love that.
It changes everything because that was my 20s was being very reactive in a
emotionally
negative way.
Responding. Like, if you feel angry or emotional or upset about something, don't respond right away to something. Like, sit on it, because you're going to respond in a different way, or might feel about it in a different way. It's hard to resist, but I have gotten as well. The older you get, the less you can behave a certain way.
And you also just don't care about the things so much that you might have used to care about, you know? And, like, what really matters and what's really important. And that, like, in your 30s, especially as a woman, I feel like you either learn it or you don't, you know? Some people don't ever, I mean, it could be men and women, but I think women were much more in tune with our emotional side.
Yes.
Like, we're emotional creatures. So yeah, I think that's something that I definitely learned. I mean, I learned that from stand-up. So yeah, made me self-care.
What other self-care stuff do you do?
Well, as you know, I smoke weed. That's a self-care thing for me. I exercise. I love fitness.
Let's talk about that, because you have one of the hottest bodies of anyone I know today.
Well, I had to work. Thank you. I had to work for that. I mean,
do you only own crop tops?
I do. Well, and if they're not a crop top, I'll make it a crop top.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're good at cutting too.
I've been cutting a lot of, like, in a healthy way. I'm not transitioning my negative cut. No, I never was a cutter, but yeah, no, I've repurposed a lot of my old t-shirts, because, you know,
that's a good idea.
I get on stage. It was funny. I was here last night, and there's, like, an older comic trying to tell me what I should be wearing on stage, like a guy.
I'm dying to know.
And he's like, he goes,
wait, does his name start with an M?
Starts with an L.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's way old school. I think his name's on the wall somewhere. He works with Argus.
Oh, okay.
He's so sweet, totally sweet, but of a different generation.
Totally.
And he looks at me and he goes, "Would you wear that on stage?" And I was like, "Yep." It was just a crop top and jeans. And I was like, and he's like, "You know, there's this comedian, you should look her up. She wears this. What a female comedian should wear on stage." And I was like,
who?
I forget the name, because it wasn't.
What was he saying they should wear?
Like a black pants, black shirt, black suit jacket. Like I'm like, dude. I said it. I was like, I look like it wasn't Cheesecake Factory. It wasn't the right one, because they wear all white. But I was like, I'm not a maitre d'. You know what I mean? Like,
that's like Ruth Chris.
Yeah, like I'm not working at a steakhouse. I'm up here telling jokes, and this is who I am, and this is how I get on stage.
If you're comfortable in that, then that's great. Like, I personally am not comfortable wearing. I talked about this on the last episode with Sarah, how I get really uncomfortable if I'm not in just a t-shirt and jeans. I feel like the audience responds to me differently.
Totally. And I've gotten both responses.
You have?
Well, I can tell sometimes, because for me, this is what I am off stage. Yeah. So this is who I am. And so the guy yesterday was like, well, you either got to play up your sexuality or you don't. And I was like, I don't think I have to do anything. You know, because I'm never trying to play up my sexuality.
I don't like that.
It's just who I am. I happen to look like this, but here's what I'm saying, you know? Yeah. And I totally, I'm not a fan of that either, because to me, sexy is not funny.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and they're not going to be listening to your jokes.
They're not paying attention.
Like, anyone who wears, like, cleavage or, like, even dresses, like, it's very distracting.
Very distracting.
I was at potluck, and I was wearing a plaid skirt.
Okay.
And, like,
I could see how that would be so uncomfortable. It just did not work for me. No.
It did not work for me.
It would, no, and it wouldn't work for me.
I want to. And I see a lot of girls wearing cute stuff, and I want to dress like that. But I guess part of it is, since I'm not comfortable, they're going to read that.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's until you're comfortable with, like, this is who I am, this is what I'm wearing, so here's what I'm having to say. Like, until you can put that aside and make them force you. Totally. Which is, like, you know, I have my belly button sometimes exposed, but sometimes if I'm not comfortable, I'll bring my flannel. Yeah. You know? And
I saw that, like, and I thought that looked really cute. I was watching on Sarah's stories when you're just at Flappers and you had the flannel. Yeah. And it just looked really cute. And, like, I feel, it's a weird thing. I feel like people can almost listen to you more. Yeah. They're not worrying.
I test it out. Because I'll do, like, one show, because, like, I'll do one show with just my crop, and I'll be like, okay, maybe my punchlines didn't hit as hard because they're too focused on whatever's going right here. So I definitely take that into consideration, because I always want to be comfortable on stage and be myself. You'll never see me get on stage in a dress. Right. Unless I have to.
And I hate that there's a certain show that makes girls do that.
That's a brand. You know, and that's someone's brand, totally. And, like, and the thing is like, in comedy, it's all about finding where you belong.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But it's also like, I don't think anyone should tell anyone what to do.
1,000%. And that's the thing is like, it's not just that show. There are other shows that have certain stipulations and things. Well, you know, there's certain, like, there's even, back in the day, there will be clubs that don't like it if you go and perform at other clubs if you're in that town. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain people have this, to me, comedy, it doesn't matter what it is as long as it's funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then when you start policing people of like, oh, you can't say this, you can't be this way, you can't be whatever. You're putting restriction, you know, you're making it what your version is, and that's not whatever, you know what I mean? That's for the audience to decide. Like, I know I've done those shows where you have to dress up in a dress, and I will say for me, it doesn't make me feel confident on stage. And I get the point and the purpose of that because, you know, I get what this person's trying to do. And I think it might work. There are some girls that's fine. They'll get it. That's who they are. They wear the dresses. They show the cleavage. They can play up their sexuality. I've never been that girl. I've always been a tomboy. I'm like, how do I hide behind my t-shirt? How do I make my breasts look flatter? You know? Like,
yeah. Sometimes I've thought about the bra that I'm wearing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that one, my boobs are gonna look too big in that bra. I'm always, I know that I'm doing a good job of hiding, because like, if I'm like dating someone, the first time I hook up with them, they're shocked with the equipment that I have. Oh, really? Underneath the hood. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, I didn't even know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not out there trying to do that. So what did you find with the flannel for the 2 shows? Oh, definitely covering up. People pay more attention to me, for sure. And I definitely keep that in mind when I'm dressing for a show, because again, we have to be aware of the first thing that we're the first thing that they see right when we walk out is us. And they're already going to start thinking, well, what does this bitch have to say? Yeah, and I do see that. Like, I think a lot of girls in the audience feel like they're being judgmental because they're just sitting there and they have this attitude like, oh, let's see what you got. Yeah. Well, you have to understand the way we look is not relatable on a massive level, if you think about it, right? Like, we don't necessarily look like the most, like everyone, like a dude getting up on stage who maybe has a little bit of a beer belly and a beard. Right. That's a relatable person. Yeah. Everyone's worked with someone like that. To us, we're just like the hot girl. You know, and what does she have to say? What are her struggles? What's her perspective? Like, who cares what she thinks? Yeah. We have to make them care. It makes me also feel like I have to do a lot of self-deprecating to get people on my side. That has never worked for me. Really? It works for me. It does? Yeah. Because I feel like you can find a way, you found a way to do it, and that can be... Probably feels genuine. It's relatable. Yeah. More than anything. Like, the most self-deprecating thing that I have... Like, I have my tomboy bit where I'm like, I was a big tomboy growing up. Now they call it transgender, you know? And then, like Michael Jackson wouldn't even touch me and I looked like a boy. It's like, I can't do too many of those because it's like, well, you don't look like that now, and why do we feel sorry for you? Yeah. Because you turned out all right. You know what I mean? So I try to stay away from that too much because, like, I don't get the sympathy vote for that, you know? You've been doing stand-up for how long? 3 years. 3 years? August is when 3 years ago is when I started going to mics and writing. But truthfully, I wrote a whole year before I got into stand-up. Like, because I made the memes. So I was writing memes and jokes. And then that was for a whole year before I even stepped foot on stage. Yeah. So 3 years I'm just hitting my 3-year mark. Had you always wanted to do stand-up? Yeah. Or how did it come about? Well, it's funny because my mom and dad showed me some home videos. And I did improv as a kid. Like, I played sports, but I was a creative. Like, I just, you know, I never could sit still, and I was very hyper and just like a creative kid. And there's a home video of me, and I remember doing this often. Like, I would come down in the morning, and I'm using my hairbrush as a microphone. And I have a picture of it. I put it up, and I was like, this is my first open mic. I must have been like, that's so 5th grade. Yeah. And I would come down in the morning and just do bits, you know, and just make my mom laugh and like whatever it was. So that, you know, that was probably when I was like 5th grade. And then like, I remember when I lived in Florida, which is where I moved before
I lived here, I was finishing up college there, I went and started to go to improv shows. I went to the Palm Beach Improv there and the Fort Lauderdale Improv. Mike Epps was my first stand-up show live.
Isn't that cool, like, remembering your first stand-up show?
I have a picture of me, Mike Epps, and my best friend Angie on stage.
That's
and
cool.
I was in my 20s, and I would just I started going to shows with her. And
did you think I want to do this, or did you think I like stand-up? There's something about this that's drawing me in.
I was like, I want this. Like, the feeling started to brew. You know when you get that feeling, like it's like a warm feeling. It's kind of like that, but it's like, I want this. There's something inside of me there's magic in there. Yeah. There's something like that's working. So I remember getting that feeling from when I would go to stand-up shows that, oh, I want more of this. I want more. And then I wanted to act in college. I remember calling my mom and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be creative. And she just laughed, you need to get a real job. So I did. I got, I worked corporate jobs in my 20s.
What were you doing?
Everything. Marketing. I went to school for marketing. I have a master's in marketing. Learned to market myself through marketing other people. And my first job out of college, my first job, while I was in college, I was hostessing at a restaurant. And the boss, the owner, hired me to work at his other company, which is an organic pizza corporation. So doing social media. Perfect for a stoner chick, right? Yeah. So, and then I started my own marketing social media business in Florida through word of mouth. Like, I was able to pick up clients and it was great. I was making great money. And then, Florida, I was living in South Florida, Boca, which is where people go to die. There's no it's like, it's last stop on the map, I was like, I need to get out of here. I want to live in LA. I wanted to live in LA since I was a kid. My dad's from here, born and raised in Van Nuys. And when I moved out here, I had corporate jobs. I was working at a video game design agency, architectural design agency. Applied for a job on LinkedIn for social media manager of Levity Entertainment Group, the biggest comedy purchasers in the United States. I looked at this application. I was like, comedy. I was like, yes, this is something I give a fuck about. And I can market it. It was like the dream job fell on my lap.
Did you get the job?
I beat out 50 applicants.
Wow. So how'd you beat them out?
I just was probably the best looking. I mean, and I had experience and I went to school and when they found it was just like, oh shit, So my entry into comedy was through the corporate side. I started marketing the improvs, the clubs that when I was living in Florida that I, and the people that I was seeing. So it was like my life was, it's crazy how certain parts of your life, everything comes full circle, And so I worked at Levity for a full year doing their social media marketing for the Hollywood Improv, all the improvs in California, Pittsburgh Improv, the one in New York, the Levity Live in New York, West Nyack. And I got to watch so much stand-up comedy. I got to edit down clips. I mean, I was at the Improv on the nights doing live social media.
Oh, wow.
I was capturing content, creating content, and I fell in love with it. I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And a lot of my 20s and, especially coming from the family that I come from, a little bit about I come from
get into that.
Very strict family. They're politicians out in Vegas, very from that traditional, gotta go to college, gotta get a job, whatever. I just was like, I really want to do stand up. There was something inside of me, and I've had certain things in my life where I don't know if it's intuition or it's just my inner voice. It just got louder. It was stand up, get into stand up. Because my friend, I went to college in DC before I moved to Florida. My friend Sam, she started doing stand up here. And I saw her do stand up 2015 or 14 at the John Lovitz Club, Universal Studios, which no longer exists anymore. And I saw her on stage and I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I did try to get into comedy 3 times. I tried to go to mics and start writing before I actually did it. And I even had a whole nother relationship after that before I got into stand-up, like a toxic terror. And it was just like a moment in my life. I remember sitting on the stairs in my apartment where I was like, there's nothing is going my way. I am trying. Like I went to school. I've done everything my parents asked, you know, and I'm still not fucking satisfied. Like, why am I not satisfied? And in that moment, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to live for myself. You know, I'm going to try it my way. That's the only way I haven't done it. And I was like, I'm going to get into stand-up because there was something missing. Like, everyone around me had something, it seemed. Or they, like, you know, and I was like, I don't have anything. I'm purposeless. There's nothing, you know, that I feel like is for me. And I've always known that I've been funny. Like, I was a funny kid. I was always been told I've been funny. And it just made sense. So that's when I started writing, going to mics. I took that class.
Were you scared when you went to your first mic?
Yeah, but not scared because I'm a fearless person. Like, it's that excitement, the adrenaline. Fear has never held me back from doing anything.
Really?
Never.
Wow.
It's because it's an emotion that I recognize, and it's like my fear is an illusion.
And you've always known that, so you can just be like, shut the fuck up, walk through.
I mean, I think I had to learn that. There were certain things that I just had no choice but to be brave.
Like?
I was 17 years old. I was, you know, not doing well in school, and my parents took me out of school and sent me to a lockdown in Utah for a year.
Really?
Yeah.
A drug place?
There
like
was
an outward bound?
Yeah, well, it was a lot of kids who, if they went to a wilderness program, this was the next step after was a school.
Yeah.
That, you know, you had to learn how to get readjusted back into society. There were bars on the windows. It was ran by all Mormons.
Was it one of those fucked up places
Yeah.
where they like beat the kids and make you sleep on the floor?
It was one of those places where if you were acting out, they would tranquilize you and put you into a thing called ISU, Intensive Supervision Unit. Take your bra, take your shoes, so you can't leave unless you graduate the program or your parents come get you.
But you were able to leave after a year? After
I graduated the program. Half the kids were court ordered there, and the other half were like dropped off by their parents who couldn't deal with them.
What was the reason they sent you there?
Well, I was in my senior year of high school. I was, you know, living with my depression was really bad. And I've been on pharmaceuticals since I was 5. And at this point, you know.
Where'd you start taking that?
Adderall and Ritalin for ADHD.
At 5?
At 5.
Wow.
So, like, I was diagnosed bipolar when I was 12. I was diagnosed, all of these things, medicated for all of these things. I was on everything. I was on tranquilizers for people who have seizures.
Like what?
Wellbutrin, Seroquel, like all those, like, I don't know, the whatever.
SSRI?
Anything. I've taken Xanax because
I love Xanax.
Xanax because of the Adderall would give me anxiety, so then I would need the Xanax because of the Adderall.
Counteract.
I was on like 7 different pills at one point because each one had a side effect that I had to like deal with. Or
Do
5.
you think that you were properly diagnosed?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I definitely had emotional problems growing up, and I think that a lot of the things that people get medicated for, and I think mental health is very serious. We all have mental health, right?
Totally.
So I think for me, I think I was just a part of the medication generation. I'm a part of a generation where the pharmaceutical industry
RX
took advantage of people, where instead of actually dealing with what the problem is, like how, you know, people back in the day didn't have pills to just deal with their problems. They had to fucking deal with them. But I also think we're in a time and place in our lives where certain basic needs are not being met for a mass population. You know, roof over your head, food, water, money. You know, you need stability in order to be mentally healthy. And if you're not stable, it makes everything else in your life be harder to be stable. So for me, my needs, you know, when I was 17 weren't being met in some way, and I was responding to that.
Would you have like temper tantrums?
I was just I was depressed. A lot of it was like my school, it was like my grades weren't great. I didn't have a future. Like I didn't have a plan to go to college. I had just given up on myself. and like I snuck out of the house. I wasn't drinking or doing drugs because I was very scared by my parents that if I did that, it would fuck up the pills that they had put me on.
Yeah.
So I was sneaking out of the house. They caught me and they were just like, we need to send you somewhere. Like you're out of control. You're becoming out of control. We want to nip this in the butt.
Do you think they were right about that, or do you think they were overreacting?
Both, but I have no regrets.
Okay.
I'm glad I went there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at the time, even I would never send a kid there, and I would never do it all over again. But, you know, it was an experience I needed to have.
Yeah.
It taught me gratitude.
Wow.
It taught me that shit could be worse. I was in there with girls and guys that, like, I mean, were doing drugs, heroin at 13. Or they were stealing. Like, you know, they had some serious behavioral, like, dark stuff that wouldn't even want to repeat, and shit I would never wish upon other people. Like, people can be fuck up people.
Yeah.
It you know, it doesn't matter what money you have or what level of income or whatever. The more money you have, the more money you have to fuck up your kids. And the less money, it's hard. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can fuck people up. Doesn't matter. But I think that it really it taught me that I had no other option. I had to just be brave and...
Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, I mean, my only option was to just get through it and be brave and be there, because the thing was I couldn't just call my parents to come pick me up. They like...
Because they tell your parents that, oh, they're going to be saying they want to come home.
Yep.
Wow. Were you mad at them?
And my parents?
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't be mad. I just had to play the game.
Or, since I know that we're the same age and I had a similar thing, did you like movies like Girl Interrupted and it made you feel kind of cool getting to go?
Well...
Because you were bad.
I mean, I always... loved those movies. I always loved those movies. I was more... It's a lot. I was embarrassed because I disappeared. My friends, some of them didn't know where I went.
So was that your senior year of high school? So you graduated from high school there?
Yeah.
Without your friends?
Without my friends.
Wow.
But I did go home to see my friends graduate.
Yeah.
I earned that. Like, eventually you get far enough in your program, you can earn trips home.
Yeah.
And so they let me go home to, like, walk on my home stage. But I didn't get a diploma from the high school that I left. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, like, embarrassed and shamed. And, like, you know, it taught me a lot of different things. So...
What was your... So you grew up in Vegas. What was your childhood like there? What's it like growing up in Vegas?
It took leaving Vegas to realize, like, growing up in Vegas is weird. It's a weird place to grow up. I mean...
I'm sure that's the number one question, too.
Yeah.
Wow, what was it like growing up in Vegas?
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, ever since I was a kid, and, you know, I didn't realize, like, oh, it's not like every other place you grow up, you know. It's a tourist town. And also, I come from my parents are politicians. My dad, he's the current district attorney of Las Vegas. And my mother was a judge. She was the judge that put O.J. Simpson in prison. So, like, I'm growing up in the city of sin. Under parents who are, like, law enforcers.
That's
you know?
Crazy. So if you ever got in trouble, they could have gotten you out of it.
They would act like they didn't know me.
Really? Because they have
They always joke about that. I don't know what they would have done, knock on wood. But luckily I've never been in trouble that I've needed them. I'm sure they would, you know, I'm very privileged in that sense that I feel like if I was in trouble, they would be there for me. But as long as it wasn't embarrassing or shameful to the family name.
Yeah. Growing up, were you afraid of coming home, like, high or something because your dad?
I actually didn't even start smoking weed until I was out of the house. So I was 19.
When you first smoked weed?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Were you drinking?
No. I never drank or did. I was on a lot of pharmaceuticals for up until I was like 24. So I was scared. I genuinely was like, if I do too much of this, I could hurt myself. I could kill myself or whatever.
Because you were told that.
Yeah, and also the fact that because I was like not forced to take medication, but like basically forced. I was told this is what I needed. The appeal of doing anything else like that was just like not desirable for me.
Yeah, you probably felt fucked up enough to a degree. Like if you're on Xanax or Adderall, you're probably feeling like.
I just never felt good on any of that stuff. Like,
do you take a little now?
Nothing.
Of what? Nothing?
No, I'm off medication. I came off pharmaceuticals when I was 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even birth control I'm not on. I smoke weed. I do my exercise. I go to therapy. Mm-hmm. Because for me, the last thing I was diagnosed was borderline personality disorder. And
what does that entail?
It's like I think it's like lack of emotional regulation. There's a whole list of things. I'm like, yeah, this could be me, or like this could be me on a bad day. Yeah. You know? I think maybe apathy might be something of it, but it's like you have a hard time the thing that like I have friends that I've been friends with in relationships that I've had since I was a kid. Like there's certain things that I'm like, yeah, maybe this is me, maybe this is not me. You know, what is it? And also some of this stuff is like socially constructed. Like who's to say this is real and this is not just something that, you know, we've come up with labels for because we're not taught emotional regulation as a kid. I don't know. Like, I think mental illness and mental health is very real, but I think a lot of it, instead of just feeding it a pill, talk therapy. Mm-hmm. You got to teach people the tools to emotionally regulate, just like you have to teach them math and science. Mm-hmm. And kids aren't taught that. We're not taught meditation in schools and, you know, interpersonal skills.
Tools.
Right. How to interact.
Coping mechanisms.
What happens when you have to be in a room with someone you don't like or work with someone you don't like.
Have you ever had a manic episode?
Yeah, as a kid. But I don't know if that was because, like, part of the reason I would act out as a kid was because I felt like I wasn't being heard. Yeah, and I felt like the only way to be taken seriously, because if I just was like, hey, this is what's happening, I felt like I wasn't believed. Mm-hmm. But if I, like, got crazy and I was like, I need you to hear me, you know, I will start acting insane because I have to get here. This is how you listen to me. And that's bad too, because then it gets into the habit of you need to get there in order to get people to listen to you.
I have that too. And like I experienced that, like, you know, that was a big problem when I was a child. Like I would like get violent and throw things and break glass and stuff because I felt like I wasn't being heard and I just wanted to be heard. Yeah. So like, do I need to like make noise to get you to hear me or pay attention to me?
It shouldn't be so hard to just be like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I'm feeling, and this is what I need. Yeah. But like, I felt like, yeah, and I think especially with women.
Do you think sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think your parents were a little distracted with how much stuff they probably had on their plate with their job?
100%. I think that's definitely, you know, our parents are of that generation. You work hard, you get reward. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you work and then everything else comes, you know, from that. Yeah. And I think that, especially because they were criminal defense attorneys before they became politicians, it was hard to come home and deal with like a trouble kid. You know?
Yeah, because they already dealt with that all day at work.
Exhausted. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and they might, because they deal with that at work, maybe dealt with it in, like, maybe a colder way, do you think?
Well, I just think that I'm the first child and, you know, you're not equipped. There's no handbook for parenthood. I mean, there is, but you're not going to know what to do in every situation. And also, I think, especially for women, you know, you start acting out as a kid, it's weird for us. It's almost expected for guys to just not be able to sit still, say something inappropriate. Like we expect it. You're a kid, you're a boy. Mm-hmm. But for girls, it's a lot more concerning, I think. But we're just creatives. You're going to put us in a room with a bunch of people. We're not all going to learn the same way or even receive the information or even like create the same way. So I always felt like I kind of, like the teachers knew my name first. You know, it would be like a boy and then it would be me.
Wait, I don't get it.
Because like I would be acting out, you know, like I was in class, I couldn't sit still. Like I just brought attention to myself from like my behavior or whatever was going on. Not that I was anything bad. I was a distraction to other kids. I would sit there and try and make them laugh.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Rather than what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for women, I think it's like most girls, the rest of the girls that I went to school with, they just would sit there quiet. I wasn't like them.
Yeah.
You know?
So what happened with your mom and OJ?
Well, my mom, when I was a sophomore in college, OJ committed the robbery crime.
What did he do again?
So I think he either tried to like sell some memorabilia, or somehow his memorabilia got into the hands of a collector, and OJ tried to get this memorabilia.
He broke into his house and tried to steal it back.
No, he basically, but in Vegas, they I think agreed to meet in Vegas at this hotel called Palace Station.
Okay.
And OJ went up to the hotel room with like a bunch of guns and like a couple dudes and like held him hostage.
So he didn't have to pay for it? Because he felt like it was his?
Because it's him.
Okay.
So in Nevada, they have very strict gun laws, and he got in trouble for it. Because also, you know, it had nothing to do with like him in the murder case, you know, because that didn't even happen. That happened in LA.
Right.
But it's a hard case because it's like everyone knew who O.J. Simpson was.
Mm-hmm.
And even SNL spoofed the jury selection that my mom did. It's a really funny clip because it's like picking a jury for an O.J. Simpson trial. They had like an alien, a caveman. They had someone who had been in like a coma and then like blacked out and came back, and they all knew who O.J. Simpson was. It was so funny.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's how big it was. It was big. It was, and also right before like I think Facebook video got big, and I think she would have even have gone more viral had it occurred a couple years later.
But she sent him to jail, right?
Prison, yeah.
Or prison.
For 9 years.
Wow.
And now he's out living in Vegas. So, like, you know, my mom and dad will run into him.
Wow.
At, like, restaurants.
Really?
Oh, and he has such a fan base.
I bet he doesn't forget her face.
No, never. I don't think he'll ever forget her face.
Wow.
But, like, women love him.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's a murderer.
Not allegedly.
That's so crazy. So when you're being tried in Nevada, like they can't look at his past because it was in Los Angeles.
Well,
sort of thing, like jurisdiction.
Yeah, and he was found not guilty.
Isn't that insane? Did you watch the remake thing, his trial?
Yeah, it was dope.
So good.
I'm very fascinated by OJ culture.
Yeah,
because it's such an American a situation of our culture, of our pop culture.
Would people in school comment to you about it?
Well, I was in college, so you know, I mean, yeah, my friends I would get, you know, it would be crazy for them to see. One of their friends' moms is judging OJ, you know, so even to this day, like it's like a thing that, you know, people, I know her daughter, you know, or just like, it's just a weird connection I have to him.
What's some crazy stuff you saw in Vegas growing up, or what would be like, did you go to the strip a lot? Like,
yeah, I mean, I saw titties before I could drink. Like, I went to a strip club because they have 18 and up strip clubs.
Yeah.
Where you can come in and like just get a dance or watch a dance, but you can't drink.
Yeah, strip clubs are fun.
So fun. So like me and like a bunch of like my high school friends, guys and girls, we would go to strip clubs, and you know, the craziest thing I saw, I mean, I saw the Stardust get imploded. Like I would see hotels, you know, it did remind me of 9/11, the way that the towers fell. Like how, like, because you can see they set up like explosives at the bottom, and then
really?
You'll see it. It looked like a hotel being imploded almost.
Wow.
So that, I mean, that's just like a Vegas thing, because they put up, you know.
Did it ever fuck with you how they would like have how inside all the casinos it looked like it was daylight? Like, was there like a weird time perception thing in Vegas?
No, not that. I did have to live in a hotel one time. Our house got mold, like really, like the deadly kind.
Yeah.
Because my parents had the shower in the house, and the builders who built the house like got lazy, or they fucked up somehow. And so the shower would leak ever since we moved into this house. And it's a nice house. And, like, we would be eating breakfast downstairs and you'd see, like, a water spot start to occur.
Oh, yeah.
And so my parents would try to, like, dig up the tile, repatch it, whatever, and then it just kept happening. And finally, Mom was like, take the whole fucking thing out. And they found, once they took out, like, everything and got to the wood, it was just soaked with ants, like a wall of ants.
Oh,
it
my
was, like,
God.
Black mold. Ugh. It was the kind, like, you had to move out. So we had to move out of the house, live in a hotel for 2 months. So every day I would go to school, high school, smelling like cigarettes. I mean, you think living in a hotel is fun until you have to do it for 2 months. And just, like, you eat the same food. You see the same fucking people who just throw their money away. It's a very depressing, triggering place.
Did a lot of, like, of your friends' parents growing up have, like, gambling addictions or, like, alcoholism?
Yeah. I mean...
Or did you, like, would you just, like, walk down the street and see people crying?
They're, like, crying because they're stuck in Vegas.
Because they lost their life savings.
Well, from, you know, because my dad...
generalizing.
Well, my dad, that was, because he was a criminal defense attorney, you know, he would have to deal with people who were gambling away their children's college savings. Because they just had a problem. And they would get in trouble with the casinos. They couldn't pay it back.
What happens then? They go to prison?
I don't know what happens. I imagine you do serve some jail time and like they maybe start to siphon your paycheck, you know, like I don't know how they get their money, but they get it.
Do you know anything about Vegas mafia?
I know a little. I mean, Vegas, I went to the Mob Museum the last time I was there. It's so fascinating. You guys should definitely do it. It's so fun. It's so interesting how a lot of our country is built off people coming from other countries, like the Italian mob. The mob, you know, basically, sorry, I didn't mean to spit on you.
You did.
The mob basically started Vegas from New Jersey, from Atlantic City. So, I mean, yeah, if you think about it, Vegas shouldn't technically, it's like how it exists is, its history is from criminals, if you think about it. So, and if you go there, it's interesting to see the different types of mobs all around the world and like what mobs transformed into gangs and, you know, what we knew as mobs are now gangs. And so, and then a lot of the influence of the mob, you know, played into the politics of Vegas. Like the former mob's lawyer who played himself in the movie Casino, which is one of my favorite Vegas movies. Have you seen Casino?
Yeah, I have.
Love it. So the lawyer of the mob in that movie played himself. He became mayor of Las Vegas.
Wow.
Now his wife is mayor.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, it's
stays in the fam.
Yeah, it's a very it's an interesting city. And it has a rich history in a sense of this is an American iconic city, whether, you know, it's Las Vegas, but this is an iconic city in our country.
When you go back there, do you feel like you're going to Vegas or do you feel like you're going home?
Well, home is Vegas.
I know, but do you feel like, oh, I'm arriving in Las Vegas?
Both. Because
like the feeling that someone who didn't grow up there would feel.
I still get that every time I drive in with the hotels and everything. It's like still that rush of this is Vegas. I can't believe I grew up here. And also seeing the city transform into this sports town. I didn't grow up with sports. We were fans of like LA sports teams. I was a Lakers fan growing up. And now we have the Raiders and the Golden Knights and like maybe we're getting a basketball team or whatever. So we're becoming this hockey town. My parents are fans of hockey. It's the most white trash thing about them, and I love it. I mean, Vegas is, and I don't want to say it's white trash, but it's, you know, Vegas is a town where you have like the New York, Paris, the Mirage. Like people, instead of actually going to those places, they go to Vegas.
Yeah.
To stay.
Do you have a favorite hotel? Or favorite thing to do?
I mean, I love the hotels. I love the Caesar's Palace and, you know, the Aria and the Venetian and the Wynn. I mean, I love all the hotels. They're all little personalities, you know, and they all have their culture and themes. It's so fun, you know, in that sense. But yeah, and I love, there's parts of Vegas that I love that have nothing to do with the Strip. There's so many dope places to hike. If you like hiking, and there's a lot of nature. Like one of my favorites is Red Rock Canyon and Calico Basin, and almost feels like you're in another planet. And then, you know,
is that where the Red Rock Amphitheater is?
That's in Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah. But same kind of rocks, like red, giant, Joshua trees.
Have you ever seen a dead body in the desert or someone burying a dead body?
Not in the desert, but one time growing up, we were driving home from a college basketball game, and we saw someone dump a body on the side of the road.
You saw it?
My dad stopped to, like, call the cops. It was insane.
Because he has to.
I mean, he felt... Like, my parents were the kind of people...
Well, I guess, why wouldn't you?
If they saw someone swerving, like, drunk, they would call him in.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
So what did you see?
Someone toss a body out the, like, literally a car pulled up, two people, like, tossed a body on the road and then, like, drove off. It was covered in a sheet, too.
And you could tell it was a body?
It was a body.
And where were they tossing it, sorry?
On the side of the road. Like, it was...
What
it
the
was
fuck?
at
Like
night,
a highway?
Just, like, no, not the highway, but, like, a seedy street in Vegas.
Did it
You wanna
feel
hear
like bringing it into a desert?
No, but do you want to hear the actual craziest story?
Yes, I do. Now...
No, you need to hear this.
Of course.
So, well, okay. So my mom was a district court judge, and so she would have to sign search warrants. I'm so glad I remembered this story. I'm going to have to save it for something else, too. But my mom would have to go down and sign search warrants. Sometimes they would call her anywhere she was. You can get a call as a judge at any time of night to sign a search warrant because they need to get them signed so they can go in and whatever they need to do. So one time she gets a call. She goes down to the police station for this one. And while she's, like, signing a search warrant, one of the cops is like, do you like rap music? And I'm like, yeah, can you tell? And so he's like, you want to see something cool? And what he does is he pulls out this giant binder, and it's pictures of Tupac, his body, dead.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I saw his autopsy photos. Tupac. He's really dead. Mm-hmm. So, like...
Was it gnarly?
It was he was on the, wherever they put bodies... And he had sheets over him and, like, different angles and stuff. It was really him.
Wow.
So, yeah, I saw Tupac's autopsy photos. He says people from all over the world would call to try and get those photos.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then you're just flipping through like a fucking...
Just like it's a comic.
Yeah.
I'm just reading Cosmo.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, that was that was a crazy story from my childhood.
Did you feel like it was a big transition going from Vegas to Boca?
Well, my way to getting to Boca was not from Vegas. Like, I went from Vegas to Utah, where I was for a year.
Oh, right.
Utah, I went to college in Vermont, which is a complete different,
And that's where you smoked weed for the first time.
Vermont, which is, like, the best place.
Oh.
Well, it was funny because like, I didn't really do it, for a while I was there, but a guy I was dating was really into it. And so... That was, like, my first time doing it, and I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I get this. This feels good. And, yeah, so.
What about drinking when you had your first drink? Because you had it, 24, you said?
No, not my first drink. I like, drank a spritzer when I was in 5th grade, and I remember I got a little buzz off that. But my first time, when I got to college, I tried drinking a beer, and my body just couldn't digest it. Like, I don't know if it was because of the medication or if I had, like, an allergy to, like, the gluten or the yeast or something. But I remember being like, my body doesn't like this. Mm-hmm. And I've never been a good beer drinker. Like, I think it affects, like, my eczema or something. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I there's something in it that I'm allergic to.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I did have a problem with drinking, but it wasn't because I ever liked it. I started dating a guy who was British, mm-hmm. and they just fucking drink like it's water. Mm-hmm. And to him, finishing a couple bottles a night was normal. So I started dating this guy, and I became an alcoholic. Like, not even because I wanted to. It was just like, oh, he's having a drink every night, so will I. We're finishing bottles. And, like, I ended up in the hospital a couple times in 1 year from alcohol poisoning in my 20s. So, and after that, like, I was never a big drinker. It just, I was having to be with someone who, drank a lot. And I never really liked it. And ever since then, like, maybe I'll have a glass of wine here or there, or I'll have a margarita or two, but never anything more than that.
Yeah.
So
you smoke a lot of weed?
I like smoking weed, yeah.
How do you stay motivated as an adult smoking weed? Because it's different when you're younger and you're smoking weed.
Well, for me, anything can be unhealthy, mm-hmm. like literally anything. And I'm a hustler. Like, it's in my blood. It's my nature to hustle. So it doesn't necessarily, who knows if I didn't smoke weed, how much more I would get done. But like, it's a non-issue. It's never held me back from anything I've wanted to accomplish. It's always kind of been a life enhancer versus, this is a crutch. So, how do I stay motivated? Well, sometimes, I'll use it as a reward system. I'll just be like, okay, if I get all this done, if there's something that I have to do that I know I don't want to do, and I would rather just smoke weed before, I'll use it as like a reward, But it's just it incorporates into my life kind of nicely. Like, I woke up today, I had a coffee, a joint, and that's it. Like I went about my day. I have shit I have to get done. So, yeah, and like people look at me, they're like, I've never met anyone who's smoked as much weed as you. But I think if they saw, and I get that can be alarming, but I also think if they understood the amount of medication I was on as a kid, that would have been alarming too. And maybe my brain this is just how it works best. Because I also know I can go without it. Like, I've had to travel on vacation out of the country with my parents recently, and I didn't bring any flour. Yeah. And I didn't have any withdrawals. I just didn't have access. So I'm not addicted. I just like doing it.
Yeah, I was high from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep all day long for like 15 years straight.
Wow.
I was never not high.
On weed?
Yeah, but like I definitely was lazier.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. But you were also, how old were you?
Younger.
That's the time you're going to be lazy.
Or 15 to 26, actually. Yeah. 11 years.
I think you experienced what a very normal, and also...
But there's nothing really to do then, too.
Exactly. What is it? Exactly. That's the time you're meant to be doing that kind of thing. Yeah. And also, for me, I definitely think it's a medicine. Like, it also isn't. It's also just something pleasurable I enjoy doing because, like, I'll wake up, I won't have any anxiety, I won't have any depression. I just want to smoke a joint and get that feeling. It's nice. It's nice. It's some people have a glass of wine, some people meditate, whatever. I like a joint, and I think it does help me with, like, because my mind is always creating. I'm a creative mind. I'll create an entire movie in my mind. And you won't even hear me say a word,
There's certain weed, and now, like, when I smoked weed, we didn't have, like, different kinds for different things. So now, like, you can smoke a certain type of weed for, like, a certain effect.
Well, right? It's all about, they've rebranded. So when you walk into a dispensary, it's not what type of strain, it's how do you want to feel.
That's so cool.
What do you want to accomplish in your day?
Yeah.
So... it's all about shifting your perspective on it as less than a medicine or a drug and more of a what experience do you want?
Do they really make sense with that?
Yeah. Like there's certain strains, like there's a strain called Blue Dream, amazing for creativity. If you're creative, highly recommend Blue Dream for a day. It's a nice hybrid. So it's good to smoke during the day, good to smoke at night. But if you're a writer, a musician, a creative, it's amazing.
Wow.
If you want to fight anxiety, you smoke OGs. Those are indicas. Those are good for anti-anxiety, good for sleep, good for inflammation, or So it as a medicine, there are different strains that are better for you than others. Sativas are good for daytime. It's like instead of taking an Adderall, you smoke some Jack Rare or sour diesel or whatever, and you'll clean your whole apartment.
I'm just remembering now, we didn't have that many different strands. We had sour diesel.
That's a very New York strain, by the way.
Okay.
Very exclusive to New York, which is a sativa.
AK-47.
That's also a sativa or hybrid.
But that wasn't like all the time. It was mostly always sour diesel.
That's a very New York popular strain that comes to New York, and that would give a lot of people anxiety because it's a sativa. Yeah. So it's like more of a head high than a body high.
And I think we had like Northern Lights every once in a while.
Okay, I like all of those strains. I prefer the sour diesel.
And OG Kush.
OG's amazing.
Yeah.
That's that's something I'll smoke during the day and at night, but it will definitely slow you down. I would recommend
I have all the lazier weeds?
The sour diesel, if you ever experience any anxiety, you might have gotten that from the AK or the sour diesel. But the slowing down definitely came from the Northern Lights and the OG. I mean, it's Northern Lights.
I don't know.
I
can remember. Yeah. I love how I can remember the four. Those were like the only strands we had.
Yeah. So those will definitely affect you a certain way. And I think that people have had more success and are more open to weed now that they have more control over the experience.
Have you ever gotten way too high though from like an edible?
I got one of the first times I ever smoked a bong, I got way too high. Like, I had to sleep it off. I had to sleep for 2 hours, wake up, and make sure that this wasn't who I was anymore. You know?
Yeah, like, do you feel like you're, like, dying or you're having a heart attack?
It's more of a fight or flight. Like, you might, you're going to have an anxiety attack.
Yeah, some weed is just too scary.
Well, you have to think, your body is taking this new medicine in, and it doesn't, for the first time. And I do think microdosing and finding the right dose, which is something, how do you measure a dose when you're smoking weed?
Yeah.
It can be intense, and that will ruin a lot of people's edibles, and bongs will ruin a lot of people's first time. My recommendation, if you're looking to get into trying weed for the first time, is just like start small, maybe edibles, or maybe take a hit of a joint, see how you feel.
I don't like edibles.
Yeah, I like edibles only for sleep and for traveling.
Edibles are so crazy.
I don't like being in public.
I don't like the way they affect me. I remember I had a weed cookie when I was younger, and I got so fucking high. I fell to the ground. I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I saw a dead cat and had like a mental breakdown.
Sounds like.
And I was like crying, and everything was like. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That sounds. Well, here's the thing. I've had bad.
It was in Hawaii.
I've had bad trips on brownies and cookies.
And my legs like couldn't work. Like I couldn't walk, and I was just like on the side of the street.
You took too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that I don't like. See, I don't like the brownies and the cookies. If I'm gonna take edibles, it's gonna be the gummies, and it's a controlled dose. Like they have things even small as like 5 milligrams or 2 milligrams, and I'll take one and I'll pass out. It won't make me feel because you're already lying down. They're good. Like, I'll do like the CBD THC gummies, life changing.
Really?
And I'll only take 1 or 2. And I won't feel hungover the next day. And you don't have that like groggy feeling.
I meant to ask you, what are some good marketing tips
for, just in general?
Yeah, for like comics or social media.
Well, finding your voice online, just like you find your voice on stage, is important because I think being true to yourself, which you're so good at that. You figured out your brand and you're starting to see your aesthetic on, like, you have a really nice aesthetic. Your Instagram, all high quality photos. That's another thing. You only, like, if you can put up high res photos, like a throwback is fine.
Yeah. But it looks better to the eye.
Oh yeah, your Instagram's great. Like if I would ever be like, here's someone you should look at to see how, like, what they're doing. This is a good example. I would point to your Instagram.
Really?
And Sarah's. Yeah.
I feel like I don't like mine at all.
But that's easy. That's a natural way I think you guys go. Yeah, it's great. Okay. You got the photos, the funny captions. When I'm always like, is this true to my brand, right? So cultivating your online voice, posting every day. If you want to grow your account, you got to post every day. And
what do you think about hashtagging?
I don't know about if it's necessary or not. Don't over hashtag.
It's so gross.
There's something so off-putting about 50 hashtags.
I don't like it.
It's like, who has the time? You know? And just keep doing it. It's like anything else, Put out, if you want to grow your account, put out authentic, original content as much as possible. Like Trevor Wallace, do you know who that is?
I know the name.
He's unreal. He's someone who, like, if you can get to that level where you're posting YouTube clips every day and they go up on all different platforms and it's original and it's funny, that's why he has the amount of followers he has and engagement and fans, and why he's already doing weekends, because he can sell out.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, be original, be authentic, high quality photos.
What are some hot girl tips?
Hot girl tips. Self-care. That's the number one mantra of hot girl.
What?
So, find what makes you feel good. My version of what I do to do self-care is work out, eat healthy, surround myself with people who make me feel good. That's so important. I think one thing that that I struggled with a lot, especially in my 20s, is I had a lot of unnecessary people around me that didn't add to my life, whether it be relationships, friendships, whatever. In my 30s, I really try to only spend time with people who make me feel good. And that's not having people up your butt lie to yourself. I think that it really is important to have a support system of people that, just make you feel good.
Totally.
So that I do therapy, that's helpful. But really any exercise and eating healthy are things that anyone can do. These are choices that you have to make.
And what does that look like for you?
I try to do cardio every single day, 15 minutes. Just not necessarily for my body, but to get the endorphins going, stress. And then I'll do my classes, my group fitness classes 2 to 3 times a week. But I also don't get too hard on myself if I miss a couple days or if I'm on vacation or on the road and I can't. Even on the road, I still try to get to the gym. It helps my stand-up, getting to the gym.
Really?
I am so much less anxious. I'm still excited, but I feel more in control when I get onto that stage with my anxiety.
Wow,
It makes me a better performer.
Yeah.
And also when I'm working out, I come up with jokes. When I'm in the bath and when I work out, I'm writing. I'm always writing jokes in my mind, even when I'm on stage. So that's just how I'm my best self. I'm my best self when I'm looking good, when I'm feeling good, when I'm eating healthy, and when I'm around good people.
And what about for eating?
See, I love to eat. I know people are how does she smoke that much weed and look like that?
Yeah.
I love food. So for me, I'm a big eggs and bacon girl. Toast, avocado toast. I love my iced coffees. I try not to do too much dairy, but I love cheese. I haven't given up cheese. And then I'll do my hot girl snacks, as you call them. I'll do my what are those called? The Persian cucumbers with the hummus, and my guac with the bell peppers that are sliced. And fruit and veggies. And then for dinner, I love my proteins and my vegetables. And don't get me wrong, I had a bowl of ice cream last night. I get my froyos, I eat cookies, I eat whatever. To be honest, I eat whatever I want. That just happens to be healthy food because I love healthy food.
I wish I liked healthy food a little bit more. I'm getting there though.
You know what it is? You probably do. You just haven't found your forever healthy foods.
Yeah.
You have to find it. I wasn't into kale, but then I found a kale salad that I cannot live without.
The Erewhon one?
There's that one that I'm obsessed with. And then Hugo's has a quinoa, kale, and beet salad.
Okay.
And I'm in love with that. It's just, also your taste buds get different as you get older. Yeah. And especially around my period, I crave steak and iron. So vegetables, and I've always just craved protein. I'm a sweet and savory, or not, I'm more of a savory person. When I wake up, I don't crave pancakes. I crave eggs and bacon and ketchup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got lucky because my mom ate healthy, I think, when she was pregnant with me too. And I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
But she ate a lot of salads and hot sauce, and I'm obsessed with both of those things.
Hot sauce on salads?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Caesar salad, Tabasco. I love Tabasco. I'm a big sauce queen.
Okay.
Sauce queen.
Yeah, we love sauce.
I'm heavy into the sauce. So, I mean, that's kind of made it, honestly, when I eat healthy, I feel so confident. Makes me feel better. And I can't eat unhealthy before I get on stage. I'll hate myself.
Yeah.
Also, those chemicals are really, there's a lot of chemicals in, unhealthy food that I think mess with your mind.
Right.
And they say your gut health is important to your, they're doing more studies where if your stomach's not happy, your mind's not happy. Your gut health is linked to your mental health or something. So, which is, I find interesting.
Yeah. So, you got stand-up going. Do you want to do acting, writing, any other what are some of the goals you have for yourself?
So, I'm always going to have stand-up. My goal, I want to be a headliner one day.
Yeah.
I'm going to work my way for that. I'm on the journey, I'm just here to learn. I have my goals and my dreams. I have no expectations other than to just be here, you know? But I would love to write. I'd love to get a writing, in the writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to, write for television, act, as long as the acting thing is weird, because, like, I'm good at playing myself, like a character of myself. I don't want to play something I'm not.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not true to me. I can't get up on stage and say something that I can't get up on stage and say something that's not true. It would be really hard for me.
Me too.
Like, because I can't, it's not authentic, so it doesn't come across as genuine. So for me, if there's like a stoner character, or if there's a character that's, I could get into that, and I would love to do that. And just keep going with my stand-up, one day have an album when I'm 10 years in or whatever, I just want to work hard, learn, grow, get good at stand-up, and just have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's and I'm here for the ride, like I if something's presented to me and it feels good, I'll do it. I'm fearless.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. Where can we find you on social media?
Well, if you like weed content, you can follow me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Wolfie Memes. And then if, for my stand-up and stuff, you can follow me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Wolfie Comedy.
Awesome. And do you have anything you want to promote?
And then I have a podcast here called Chronic Relief with Rachel Wolfson. Chelsea's been on it, one of my favorite episodes, where I talk with comedians about comedy, mental health, and a little bit of cannabis. That's on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. And then, let me know what comedians you want to see on there and send me a message. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, babe.
And please remember to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes for my podcast and hers. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.